It asked me to put my name.
Welcome to the Open Hearted Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Open Hearted Podcast. I'm your host, Will Wheeler, joined with my main man, Photon John. Kev, what's going on, brother?
Oh, just chilling after the weekend and starting to enjoy the year winding down. I'm sitting in my mum's.
Man. To tell you the truth,
my mum's little studio.
Has your mum got a studio? Oh, there's some art and that in the background. Yeah, nice. Yeah, man, it's really starting to wind down. I was only just thinking today, I've only got like 4 more weeks left of work until I go on holidays for a little bit. Yeah. And then I get a call today. Someone wants me to do a presentation for them like 1 day into my holidays. And they're going to pay me big money for it. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do that for sure. Yeah, totally. For an hour.
Yeah.
For an hour. I was just like, yeah, sweet. I'll do that. So to be confirmed, I would say, you know what I mean? So
is that local or?
I'll be online. Online. Right. So
that's easy enough.
Yeah, well, I'll actually shout it out. So I actually was speaking at a conference a few weeks ago for VELG, which is all about like vet education, higher education, all that type of stuff up in the Gold Coast. And they got back to me today that like the presentation went really well on neurodiversity. So they want me to do like a lunchtime session where they have roughly about between 400 and 600 people attend. So I think that's a very good opportunity there. So I'm more than happy to speak.
We were for those listeners who don't know, we were talking about this before. That event really went off, didn't it? You were up the Gold Coast.
Yeah, man, kicking goals. Yeah. That's what it's all about. But anyway, talking about education and all that, we should really get our guest up today. So we're going to be covering a really awesome topic here today, the importance of assistive technology in education. And I'm joined with my main man from Sweden, Tor Ghai. Tor, what's going on, my man? Thank you so much for joining us.
It's so nice to be here. I'm very happy to.
The pleasure is ours. We see that there's not too much snow over in Sweden yet, so you're not frozen away yet. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're correct. It's a bit cold, but it's not so much snow. It's easy to get around.
Nice.
Most of the case it is. So yeah.
Nice. How you been anyway, mate? It's been a while. Like we were speaking about before we got on the show. The last time I think I spoke to you was just a bit after COVID. So I think that might have been about 2020, 2021. Time flies when you're having fun, right, mate?
Yeah. It's been in Sweden. It hasn't been so kind of restricted, and even so, it's like some time ago. It's mostly.
Yeah, it has been a while ago, but you know what? Here in Australia, we're going a little bit crazy again. People are wearing masks, and they're asking everyone to wear masks. But anyway, that's how the ball. Welcome to the new age, yeah. But what we might do before we get stuck into this, I'm just going to do a shout out to all of our listeners. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, like, and follow our social media pages. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And you can also subscribe to us on our openheartedsociety.com website, where there's heaps of cool blogs and past podcasts. Also, too, if you have any questions, please shoot them through on our social media pages, as we would love to hear from them. Photon John, are you ready, my man?
Born ready, as you said.
Born ready. That's the main thing. Tor, man, you've from when we connected and we've started talking and that, you've done some amazing stuff. But please share with our audience a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I'm from Sweden, and I, just like you, dyslexia and ADHD, and been growing up with that and kind of learning to navigate the world as a dyslexic and ADHD. I want to say this other word that you're using, neurodivergent.
Neurodiversity.
Yeah,
Haven't you heard the word neurodiversity before?
I have heard it so many times, but it's in another language, so I never say it in English.
Oh, really? Really? How would you pronounce it in Swedish?
Neuro. Yeah.
Let's just stick to the English version, maybe. Yeah.
Well, actually, we say kind of non-neurotypical. I think.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Like the word dyslexia. I mean, it's hard. And even in Sweden, that word is made more difficult because it's like a different ending so that's kind of part of my life, navigating, saying all these different words. I mean, there are other words as well, of course, common words that you use that are different.
I guess it never really occurred to us that there'd be different terminologies in different countries, different parts of the world.
Oh yeah.
Well, was it so? Being dyslexic, I often hear, especially coming from your part of the world, like English is something that a lot of people know how to speak. Was it difficult for you trying to learn that and all these different words and everything and how they're spelt and everything?
Yeah, well, spelling is difficult because it's funny because we have Finland next to us. Everything is spelled just the way you say it. So I can just read Finnish and I will sound like not like a Finnish person, but I will pronounce everything correctly. And then in Swedish, it's a bit different because we're kind of getting words from all over the place. They probably are too, but they're still spelling it the right way, and we're kind of taking the spelling from other places. And when you get to England, it's crazy because things will be pronounced in the same way and spelt in different ways. And the opposite. So spelling in English is kind of tough. But my father, he was or he is English speaking, so I kind of, it's always been like natural to me. I have a great confidence speaking English, even though I know I don't sound like a kind of native, but I feel like I am almost. So it's kind of funny how I can have super confidence, but then all of a sudden I realize, I don't even know how to say this word, and we get kind of stuck. So so English.
What I sort of.
Sorry.
It was sort of interesting when I was in Sweden how, from what I learned and what I learned from a lot of other Swedish people, was that a lot of people in Sweden are embarrassed of their English, of how they speak it in that. And I was like, no way. Like I wasn't like, I didn't go, oh man, that person's speaking like that. No way, dude. I think I would be more embarrassed of me trying to speak Swedish than their really good Swedish. I mean, English, you know what I mean?
I had the same thing in Vienna. Austrian people wouldn't speak English to me, even if they could, if they didn't think they could speak it well, because they were embarrassed about it.
Oh yeah.
But I was just happy to find someone I could speak to.
Do you know what?
But here we always want to speak. It seems like if you come to Sweden, you want to learn Swedish. Most people will want to speak English because they will want to practice, and so it's kind of a bit rude sometimes because someone comes here and tries to speak our language, and we just go over to English because we are.
Yeah, you just switch naturally like that. I remember going to is it Max? Is it called Max, the fast food restaurant?
Max? Yeah, it's Max.
Yeah, Max. And I remember going into Max, and I went to the lady. She was like whatever in Swedish, and then I said, "Oh, can I have this and that?" And she just switch just like that. It was no problem at all. But then you go to Germany and other places, nah, it's impossible to try and talk. But anyway, we should really be talking about.
Germany is a good segue because I was studying German, and that was so hard. And French.
That would be.
So that's problem learning the language, especially spelling. But later on, I went to Germany. I was working there for a while, or kind of on and off, and I just downloaded a lot of text and used text to speech, a lot of phrases. And on the plane going there, I just repeated the phrases I had read to me, and then I said them, and then I had, of course, the translation next to it. And when I got off the plane, I mean, I learned all these phrases, and this is like more I've learned during the whole of my 2 years of studying German in school. And I even went to kind of a language course in Germany for 2 weeks. But just kind of all of a sudden having the tools you need just on a flight, like 2 hours. I learned so much, because language should be how you communicate, right? And it should start with the verbal stuff, and then you could go to the writing and reading. And even so, you have these technologies. So if writing and reading is hard, you should have them, the technologies, and then reading is not a problem either. I mean, I was learning through reading in a way, but I was using a Tor Talk, my own tool for doing it. But before I was, so languages is really hard if you do it the wrong way. If it's all about reading, that is really, really hard. But if it's about talking, no, then it's not so hard.
Yeah, like I think the thing with, like, I don't know about you, but I can read pretty good, right? I wouldn't say I'm a bad reader, but I struggle with reading a lot of information. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's like a paragraph, I could read a paragraph and probably take that information in and be like, yes, I understand that. But once we're going like pages upon pages, that's where that short-term memory is just not taking all that in, if that makes sense. Do you struggle with that?
Which is why it probably sucks that my most used form of communication with you, Will, is info dumping.
But it's only in
messages.
It's not that big. It's not that big. But if it was, I probably would just use assistive technology to read it back to me anyway, if it's really long.
Yeah, cool.
Well, for me, it's a bit on and off. I would say I'm a slow reader, and sometimes I will be extremely slow, and just reading will kind of wrecks my brain. So if I read half a page, I will be unfocused, I will be tired and hyperactive, and I'm not understanding anything that I'm reading. So that's usually me. Sometimes reading will work a bit better, and I might not get so tired, but I'll still be very slow. So but when I listen, that's not a problem. Then I'm much faster, and I don't get tired. So reading has most of my life been like I read half a page and I'm
that's
not,
it.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest reason why we've got you on here, you created Tor Talk, and we're going to go a little bit more into that. And I think, for me, it's that technology has been so valuable in one time that, because for one, I can speed up a lot of the reading when I'm using your tools. But, I can take in information from complex articles. So say, for example, I was reading an article. I wouldn't even call it an article. It was a paper from research from a university. Now, I don't know if you've ever looked at that type of stuff, but it's always got references, like nearly every sentence. That is so incredibly hard to read just on its own. But listening back to it, it was still difficult because they're always reading over the references. But I was able to take in what they were talking about. And I was like, man, I would never have been able to do this if I hadn't been reading, because I would have just switched off.
Yeah. No, were there references in parentheses?
Yes.
Did you use the option not to read the references?
No. Is there?
Oh
Is there
God.
well, okay. What we might do?
This.
Okay. What we might do, I reckon this is going to tie in well. Before we do anything, right, I'm going to close down the article I got here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to open up find the article while you're talking to us a bit about your work and how it relates to neurodiversity. Is that cool? And then what we might do, hopefully we can show how this, we've never really done it before on the podcast, but we'll see if we can sort of show our listeners, maybe our listeners might not be able to hear what's going on, but we can at least explain it, and you can show me how to turn off that stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you might have to take your headphones off for a while so the sound goes from the speakers to the microphone of your computer.
Oh, but it will maybe we'll check it out. It's no big deal. We'll check it out.
Otherwise we can explain how it works. But
yeah,
that would be fantastic. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Let's see what we can do. So you just tell us about your work, why you've gotten into that, and then I can get this other stuff up.
Sure. Well, I was studying for my I wanted to study again because I was super interested in how the brain works, and I found an opportunity to work with brain imaging. So I started studying, and by then I had been working with blind people. So I've been making software for blind people with text to speech, and I realized that text to speech really changed the way I could take in information. So I realized that there's a way of making tools that are for dyslexics, just like you did for people who have problems with sight. I mean, their systems are super complex. They need to know everything that's happening on the screen. If a window is updated, it needs to be communicated that this window up here is updated, and you can go there with some with your keys to get that focus, and we'll see what's happening. But as a dyslexic, having to navigate the screen with only keys when you can see and just use the mouse to point to, it was super cumbersome, and you needed to learn so much. So there were these tools for dyslexics already, but they were so complex, and they didn't do what I really needed them to do. And they were super slow. So complex and slow and incompetent, I would say they were.
Would you guess that perhaps some of these tools weren't designed by dyslexic people if they were a little cumbersome and hard to understand?
I would guess so. And also, because that's what I get today. Since now I was a developer, so I started developing my own tool. And now I talk to people and like, we want this and this function in your software. Could you build this? And I'm always like, okay, so who is asking for this? And it's like, oh, well, I thought that maybe it would be good for this student, maybe. And then this kind of trickles in most big organizations. It will trickle through to the someone who makes decisions, and then it goes down to some designer, some programmer, and then you blur out a result somewhere. And so yeah, I would say that there will be stages where there are not dyslexics involved when these tools are developed.
Did some of the hurdles with that technology seem a little like it should be obvious? If it was being designed by a dyslexic person, like why would that be happening?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because that's what when we develop things now, it's like it has to go through me and then a few kind of testers, and the person who we need to find the person who really needs it, and then really interview that person. Like, what is it you want to accomplish?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want a calculator that can read, that can tell me what it says, the numbers. So yeah, you just use Tor Talk with the calculator that is in your computer, and it will read to you.
Wow.
And like, if I want a a mind map program, but I also want to listen to what I've written. Yeah, you can use Tor Talk for that. Like, we don't develop new tools that can speak the text. We make sure that Tor Talk can speak the text from all the tools instead. And then and then also, like, since we're testing it all the time and I'm using it all the time, like, some things are really annoying. Like, if you want to change the speed of the text, if you have to go into settings, then while doing that, pausing the speech, changing the settings, saving the settings, going back and starting to read again, that's really, really irritating. And then you don't want to change the speed. But if you can just change the speed as you listen, and it kind of, by the next word you will hear the change, then you can kind of see what you want, and everything is saved at the same time. Why would you make it differently? So that's like kind of that's how things. I find that you should design things, but yeah.
Yeah, and you would have the best idea of what should be front of mind in terms of the interface. You know, what's most commonly needed, that side of things.
Yeah, I think so. But then also I need to listen to others, because I can't be the dictator of the. But
You meet one dyslexic person, you've met one dyslexic person. Well, I think we might have just lost Will for a second. Oh no, he's now presenting.
Oh, did you get Tor Talk there also, or could you just?
Yeah. So I should. This is like the paper that I was reading the other day. It should, from what I can see, I should be able to get the audio of it. So let me just have a look and tell me if you can hear this. Hang on. Well,
nope.
We can't hear anything. We can't see the program either, or we can't see Tor Talk, because maybe you're only able to share.
Can't see it.
Yeah,
maybe I'm not able to. Could you hear anything?
No, we can only hear you.
Oh, you couldn't hear anything. Oh man. Okay. Oh well. I don't know if we can share it. Yeah, we might have to describe it. Sorry.
So
that's a
Tor,
bummer.
could you just give us a sort of a basic rundown of how it all works?
Yeah. So the basic function is that you select the text, and the text, like Will showed, he selects text, and then you get this like a small media player, or like a small panel, small program with some buttons, with a play button and speed change and so on, and that hovers above all other programs. It's like a super annoying pop-up that you can't get rid of. But well, you can of course close it and take it off, but it will stay on.
A helpful clippy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, helpful clippy.
So yeah, I'm just trying to. I'm trying to get onto I'm on your website. I might share your website because you might have some examples on there. Do you, Tor?
Yeah, sure. Let me get that up. Use a flag so you can change to English if you want.
Oh yeah, I will sort that out in a sec. And let me just have a look. So when did the app come out, mate? I didn't know you had it as an app.
For iOS.
Sorry, how do I change it to English? Oh yeah, it's in English. It's fine, yeah, but it's just got the Swedish prices.
It has? Okay.
I could probably change this up here. Oh, hang on, I might be able to change that up here. I think. Oh, no,
I think
it's just got. Sorry, mate. What do you want me to go? Oh, hang on, what's it doing?
So can't really see from here, but there should be like resources.
Oh, now it's in British. Yep. So resources. We've got my account. Or maybe can you share on your side, Tor? Is there a button down the below of the screen there that says present?
Yeah, or share screen. It
So
says.
yeah. So if you want, do you want to get it up on your end and then share it? And then it might be easier for you to go over the stuff rather than me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I'll try it. See.
All right. I'll just stop sharing on my side. And then so for all of our listeners, this is the first time we've done this. So we're going into, what would you call it? Something territory.
Unscripted.
Or
unscripted.
Like unscripted territory. Uncharted. Yeah, uncharted territory. It's like here in Australia, you wouldn't jump into the surf just anywhere. There could be sharks, so we might come across some things here. Many sharks over in Sweden, Tor.
There are actually some sharks here, but they're super small and they're not dangerous.
Oh, they're not like the big great whites we get here.
No. We have like. We are afraid of spiders, but we don't have any dangerous spiders here.
You ever planning on coming to Australia, mate?
I would love to. I've actually been a few times when I was really small.
Oh, really? What parts of Australia have you been to?
I have no idea.
Oh, really? Okay, you really took in Australia well.
I remember I liked it, but I was the thing. My father, he used to work with countries getting independent, so we kind of went a few times. Went to Fiji, Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
We kind of went through Australia.
Yeah.
So any place closer to them, that would be the place.
So New Zealand, or or Bali and all that's close to Australia too. So Asia and all that.
New Zealand would be where me and Will are from. Don't go swimming in any place there without checking for signs. I did that on tour with the band.
Oh yeah, man.
I was swimming for ages, and then I went the wrong way and didn't see the signs, and I was swimming for a while, then got back up, and the locals were like, "What the hell were you doing?"
Yeah,
there's like a 2-meter croc that sits on that beach.
They don't even give you a warning. Crocodiles, they'll just come up and boom, and you're gone. How you going with that tour? Did you find it, mate?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find a page to read from. Actually, I found your LinkedIn. We'll use that, and then I'll see if I can start Tor Talk. The thing is, I couldn't share so easily with Tor Talk, so I'm gonna try now again.
Oh, I didn't know if it like I said, I don't know if it will work on through the thing there, but it looks like you've got down the bottom of your website a bit of an example with the mobile phone there. I don't know if you wanted to use that to explain or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Can you?
Oh, you can't get it up on your side? You can't get your website up?
No, let's see. Okay.
So here we go. Something's working.
Okay.
Oh no, you're sharing the screen. You need to get up. Oh yeah, here we go.
Can you see the tool moving around now?
Hang on, there should be. Oh yes, I can see the tool. I don't know if I can hear it.
Okay. So like this, I select the text and then I press play.
Yeah.
In the Open Hearted podcast, we really wanted to talk about some of the challenges in the workplace we have faced, some of the issues we still see, and how we think neurodiversity.
Did you hear anything?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it was a little bit crackly, but I think it's just the line.
Yeah, okay. So, but the basic function is that you select the text and you press play. And The kind of idea also behind it is to make it so easy that, like, now I've shown you how it works. You start it and then you select the text and press play. Now you're ready to use it. This is like all you need to know. And
also too, you can change like the languages too, right?
Yeah. So now on this computer, I have a few languages. Well, I have Swedish and English actually only, and I have an American and an English voice. I actually have Australian voices as well, but I just realized I don't have them on Mac, only on Windows.
Oh, that's okay.
I wanted to use that otherwise.
You look like you've got a different toolbar to me with your. Maybe I've got an older version.
Okay, yeah, you might have. It's quite similar on Windows. So I don't know, but can you see now when I change? Is it?
You're now going to LinkedIn, yeah.
Yeah, and now do you see the tool I have down here that I'm moving?
There's two tools showing now.
Yeah, so that is now I'm on a virtual machine now, so that is the Windows version below.
Okay.
So maybe you have an old one.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so this is the basic thing. This is how you use it. You just select the text and read it. Yep. But then, like, if you like for this example, this is a picture, so you can't select the text, but then you can use this tool. So can you see the window open now? It's just like a frame.
Yeah. So if the frame goes around the picture that has writing on it, correct?
Yeah. I haven't tried this for this specific image because sometimes you'll get it wrong. It will maybe get some part of her sweater here and think it's a letter or so. But we'll try. So basically here you press play and it will convert it. It will take a picture and convert it into text and read it. So we'll try.
Breaking News PI, Neurodiversity and Thriving at Work.
Okay.
Oh, so that's still pretty cool that it picks up that writing on the picture, Bart.
Yeah, so maybe you would just like, okay, I just want to read this. So you'll do like this. But it's also good to see that, okay, so it got some things wrong here. But if there's a lot of text that you want to read and it gets a little bit wrong, you're fine because you also see where it is getting things wrong and you see, okay, this is not really important. And then it reads something and it shows you where it's reading. So
sorry, can I send through to you the that paper I was telling you about? And you know how you were showing us sorry, I'll just send it through. Oh, hang on.
Otherwise I can, yeah.
Sorry. Hang on. My Tor Talk was just... Did you hear the Tor Talk coming back on my end? You mustn't have heard it because I was like, sorry. And it was like talking, going like /PTT, reading out the whole like thing there. Sorry, I'll send this through to you, Tor, just because we're talking about when you are reading, say, a paper that has... Can you see that link that I just sent through to you there?
Did you send it through?
You'll probably see a private...
StreamYard.
Yeah, in StreamYard. So you'll see a private...
Where did you send it?
So there should be a private chat on the right-hand side. And there might be like something come up there going private chat. You didn't get that?
The thing is, I can only see... Since I'm sharing my screen, I can only...
Oh, okay. Maybe it's not working. But it's okay. It's okay. We won't go... What I was going to ask is like... You know how you're saying you can turn off the you can do something to turn off certain things?
Let's do this. This is
okay, yeah, cool. So
here, this is actually a really good example because this is kind of the reason why I developed this tool. So this is a paper about assistive technology. And so this is also, if I select the text here and press play, it's going to say that it's locked. You need a password, but in Swedish. So I can't read it. So I had to kind of transform this into electronic text first. This was while I was developing my tool. So what you do is you use this one. And I'm just going to briefly show what it sounds like. I'm going to change the speed also to
Yeah.
Cognitive impairments after acquired brain injury, hobby, are frequent. Paddle, Kaushal, Rud, and Wolf, 2003, influencing everyday function in self-care, productivity and leisure. Cabernet, Greeny, and Proker, 2006, Erickson, Tommy Board, 2006, Fish, Finley, Isley, Evans, and Wilson, 2007, Gentry.
So getting the speed up is a good way to get past all these. Actually, I also wanted to show you. This is actually the speed that I sometimes listen to things when when there's something that I'm kind of that I know that I'm reading. I have a kind of good background on what I'm reading about, and then I can kind of skim read like this. But that's not what I was going to show you. So this text has, like, here you can see it has some references, and over here it has a lot of references all over here. And the thing is that if it's abbreviations and years, then that takes longer to read out than it actually looks like. So in this text, the references will take so much more time than the actual content that you want to read. So we have this one. Okay, so now mine is in Swedish, but it says skip content inside of parentheses. So then
you can skip that.
Yeah, so we'll try it again.
Cognitive impairments after acquired brain injury are frequent, influencing everyday function in self-care, productivity, and leisure. Persons with cognitive impairments might, for example...
Wow, and I saw it like drop a complete line there because that was all just the references in that.
Yeah. I'm so sorry you didn't know this earlier because it's...
No. Well, I think like I've just... I don't know. I need training on it.
That's kind of just a good example of how smart it is, though.
Yeah,
Like
but
what
it just makes it. Well, what it does, like, I got to admit, like when I sat there and listened to the this research I was reading the other day, I did pick up on what it was saying, but just having all the references and that being read out at the same time, it was sort of hard to take it all in. But listening to that just then, what you just played, it just made it so much smoother, if that makes sense. Wouldn't you say, Fodon, John?
Yeah, it's I'm obviously not dyslexic, so I wouldn't have the first person view of how it can help. But
no, but you're ADHD.
Oh yeah.
So it'd be hard for you to sit there and maybe read like a whole paper, right?
Yes and no. Well, yeah. I mean, on things I'm not actually like reading for pleasure. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Which is usually the way in like education, because you're having to learn about things sometimes that to sometimes reach the goal that you want to reach in education, you have to learn other things which aren't as enjoyable, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, cool. So we've sorry, Fodon, John, you go.
I'll just describe very briefly for listeners who can't see what we're talking about. Basically, if you just imagine, taking a screenshot where you just click and drag a section of something, it's sort of like that, but you do it with text, and it can be text, or it can be an image, as we did first, and it just translates it for you. It's bloody amazing. It's really, really simple.
No,
yeah,
thank you.
Totally. And also too, just so with this tool, is you're more targeting, say, like higher education places, or would you recommend this? Is there plans where just one person might be able to, like just a normal sort of app, or how does it sort of work? Is it more just designed for schools, or do single people sign up? How's it all work?
Well, the more commonly it will be on universities. And the reason is really kind of, it's easier to target that market because they will have dedicated organization to dealing with people who have issues, because they want to help them, of course. But when you, as you go lower in age, schools, they won't have the resources, they won't have time. If you speak to someone, they'll be, oh yeah, this is really important, but now I have a lesson and now I need to prepare this, and so they're always kind of super busy. So there are, and also the thing is, I made this tool to just read, make it really easy to read. And like some of the buttons I've spent like ridiculous amount of hours to make that button intuitive and work just the way that you expect it to always. There should never be like a surprise. You should never kind of sit and wait like, oh, it's going to read like in 1 second or in 5 seconds or half a second. Like you should reduce uncertainty when you develop things. So I keep very few things. You should never become confused about what's going to happen. But as you come down in ages, they will think, but you're making this tool for dyslexics. You have to teach them to read also. So your tool has to contain software to teach the kid how to read it, learn how to pronounce things, how to break things up in syllables and so on. But that's not part of my interest, because I mean, if you're dyslexic, please be dyslexic, just like me. I'm very dyslexic, but my life is fine when I have these tools. So in that way, I think they will choose our competitors who has all these other stuff. So we will kind of, when we get to lower ages, it's hard to get enough time to explain why this is important, because I would think it is important to have a tool that's really easy to use. Especially when the younger you are, the more important it is that it's easy. That it just helps. It's there.
And I especially think like, the younger you go now, the more they've grown up using
with technology.
Yeah.
So that's what, like, it sounds like such a simple thing, but I think click and drag is just the genius part of this whole thing.
Well, thank you.
Sorry. What I was going to say is that, hang on, I completely forgot, and I've had a mind blank now. sorry. Shit. ADHD.
Good thing we're on this podcast.
Okay, so that's kind of universities. So universities buy it and everyone can use it. But you don't have to be dyslexic. You can just.
That's what I was going to say. This could be used for anyone.
Yeah. So even
think how many more books you could read a week in your study if you have this at a very high pace.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, a lot of people are using it who are not dyslexic for things that would be very boring, because it's so easy when you're reading something to just gaze away or disappear in your head. But if you're kind of speeding it up, a lot of things are happening. So you kind of need to focus. You get hyper focused. You can't think about anything else. So you kind of just go through a lot of text. So that universities, of course, they will use it. And also it's funny because like researchers, they're a lot like kids. They just want things to work. And they want to focus on what they're doing. They don't want to learn a complex tool. So but then we have like speech pathologists prescribing it to dyslexics here, specifically dyslexics then. And then you can also buy it on the website to use it as a private person, or from App Store or Google Play. Oh yeah, because we showed the how it works on the computer, but if you have it on the phone, you can even take a photo of a book, or like if the teacher hands you some paper. I mean,
so you could just go over like, and then it will read everything on that piece of paper.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's anyone who wants to use it, but it's you can buy it from the website, or you can get it from your university in Sweden mostly.
So have you had much interest overseas yet?
Well, some interest, but we haven't targeted any other country. There's so many. It's just being in one country is a big market with companies and so on.
That's cool. That's cool. So, out of curiosity, what issues do students face due to the lack of assistive technology? You know, we've spoken a little bit about this, but what do students face due to the lack of it? And I know that's pretty obvious, but like,
no, but it is obvious in some way. But I would think like, where do I start and where do I end? To talk about this, because I would say, because everything is text, right? It doesn't matter which subject today. Even sports will be a lot of reading today, reading and writing. So everything is text, and in that sense, if you have struggle reading, I mean, like I said, like me, it just reading a few paragraphs, I'll be like not clinically depressed, but I'll be feeling really, really low. And just realizing that you can't read, and everyone else is really simple. Everyone is reading. You kind of define yourself as kind of broken. You can't do what others can, because it's really simple for them. They're just doing it.
And you know, the immediate assumption from other students and teachers is, oh, that kid's a bit dumb.
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
just not true.
But you know what, right? I often think if I had this technology when I was in school, would my experience have been better? Because I remember going to classes, and for our project or whatever for the term, we'd have to read a book, and I just couldn't do it. You know, I just couldn't do it. But if I had some form of tools like your tool or whatever, man, I would have understood what was going on, and I probably would have paid more attention because I would have known what the hell was going on, if that made sense.
Definitely makes sense. And then you would know, like, okay, reading is really hard. I can't read like them, and that's a shame, because I wish I could read like everyone else. But I can take the information in my head and I can use the information just in the same way as the others, because so many lessons would start off like, oh, you read this, and then you do the assignments, you do the lab, or we have a discussion, or you read loud to the class, we'll go around. And like all of this is like, now you really messed with my day or with this lesson, because I will be struggling and I will not be able to read, and I will just think about what's wrong with me, why can't I read? And from there, you're going on to discussion, or you're going on to do the lab. Your friends are like, but we're doing this lab. It was in the text. Didn't you read the text? Like, yeah, but I was blah, blah, blah. You're trying to find a way. And then in the end, you're like just trying to hide. You just don't want anyone to know.
Yeah. And I think as well, especially if we're thinking about it from school age type of thing, and I always say that's a real critical point for someone's life. They're going to start developing confidence, or the lack of confidence, if you don't appear to be the same or whatever. But even for me, like I said, I use your tools a lot, just to be able to read certain things. And it just gives me confidence, because I'm like, man, I've got this. Do you know what I mean? It's not, because I don't know about you, but sometimes it's like a mountain. If I've got to read all this stuff, especially on an LMS, I'm thinking, oh my God, man, this is gonna wreck me. But if I've got a tool to be able to just read it back, I'm like, man, I've got this. I have this confidence.
That's got nothing to do with the understanding the subject matter. It's just the processing of the information needs to be done differently.
Well, I to tell you the truth, I do understand the subject matter.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
It's not about not understanding the subject matter. It's about the processing of the information needs to be different to gain the understanding, and that's all
Yeah,
it is. Nothing to do
totally.
with nothing to do with intelligence levels, nothing to do with well, not cognitive ability in an IQ sense of the word. It's just a different way that you need to process information, and it's so simple to get it, especially with a tool like this, to do just as well as other kids.
Totally. Now, in saying that, what issues are learning organizations facing when it comes to understanding assistive technology? What's some of the things maybe I can tell you one right now. They don't understand how to use it, so they may just pass it off, or they are not using it effectively, if that makes sense. So, for example, I said to you, oh man, I was reading this report, and you're like, oh, did you turn on the such and such? I'm like, oh man, I didn't even know that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that can sometimes people may just use the basic version, but not understand all the tricks of what it can do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it true that sometimes they see it as like an extra process to add and don't fully comprehend how much that extra little bit of extra effort will help them and how easy it really is?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that will go through like this, like a specific person will have this, and just like you didn't know about this, and then some will not know about this thing that converts images to text. So in this learning management system, they might realize, okay, I can't read this because I can't select the text and so on. It's kind of locked in. So you have that, but then you also have these people that have been handed all these strange tools who are dyslexics and realize, oh, this is not for me. They haven't worked in the past. Or you get so much, I would say, you do this citation things, you get so much help growing up with dyslexic. It's like walk backwards on all four and try to hit the tennis ball with your ass. I mean, that's how you get rid of dyslexia in some people's mind. So you get all these things, and then you get like handed a tool that, oh, install this and everything will be fine. Like we talked about how much different, and they'll be like, yeah, sure, I'm not going to go down that path again. I'm done with that. I can struggle. I can get by. So you have that. So you have all that spectrum, like in one person, you'll have these struggles. But when it comes to organizations, like if you don't at top level of the organization realize that this is a real issue, there is a real solution to this, and people are struggling like this enormous struggle, and we can help them. I mean, and there is a way of helping them that is easy. Like once they realize that, I think most of the problem is solved, because then they will start finding out how to, and they will make sure that you get proper training with the tools. So I think that's the big problem is realizing that actually it makes a big difference. And when you don't have that understanding, then you have a real problem. And it's really hard to get to that understanding, because it's hard.
I think aside from obviously just allowing more people to access the workforce through tools like this, there's the obvious benefits of how neurodivergent people just think outside the box and what that can bring to a workplace, rather than just a whole bunch of people who think neurotypically. Not that they can't come up with amazing ideas themselves, but you kind of get what I'm.
But also too, sorry to butt in there. Like these tools, and this is the thing in education, we are almost trying to help these people. Well, it's not almost. We are helping these people get ready for the working world. So understanding what tools or whatever is available to them and being able to take that to the workplace is huge. Now, I think with your app now, with what you're talking about, that's great, because I know, because there's been times where I said, oh, you could use this, this, and this. And they're like, no, our security team doesn't allow that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, maybe potentially having these apps can be the next thing that people can still use this in the workplace, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, I see what you mean. But if you're in a high security place and you bring out your camera, it's like a problem.
Well, yeah. But what I'm sort of talking about is like, when I mean security, not high security like a bank or something like that, but like cybersecurity. So, for example, I've sort of named certain tools for clients to use, and they're like, not allowed to use that because the cybersecurity team have said we can't have that as part of it, type of thing. Where now they could probably, but they're allowed to have their phone in the workplace, so they could use the app. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's where we could look at it a bit better.
Yeah, but I have customers who have the highest security, and they use Tor Talk.
Oh, that's good.
Because we're not, we're like we don't connect to the cloud. We have systems running on networks that are not connected to, not allowed to connect to the internet, and we have like this OCR thing. Also, they have like places where they have documents that you're not allowed to, anyone is allowed to see. You can read them also. So there again, if there is this understanding that you have these people that need it to, and the only way they can get to this strength is if they can also get to the information. Information to use your strengths, right? So then there is a way around it. But I mean, the common answer will be like, oh no, we can't put things in our system because it's it'll be a big process of vetting it and make sure that it's okay to be used. But they can always contact me because it's been done in very many organizations, and it's a trusted tool and it's safe to use.
Yeah. Maybe that's a marketing sort of thing you could use, because that might be something that they will say if you try to bring it to them. But actually, out of curiosity, what are your thoughts on the future of assistive technology? What do you think? We're seeing improvements. Is AI maybe going to start coming in shortly, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think. Well, first of all, I hope that I'll be put out of business. That everything is kind of built into everything. So I'm happy to do something else in that case, or just kind of go along in that kind of work. But then I use these chatbots a lot, or especially ChatGPT and Copilot, and man, because I have these ideas and they're not no way kind of what do you call it? Linear. Yeah, they're not linear thoughts. So if someone like, oh, please explain this idea, and if I'm not talking to someone who's like ADHD or can follow my thoughts, they're like, what are you talking about? So being able to use ChatGPT, like, this is my thoughts, and I can say it in a few kind of lines and have a dialogue with it. And then when it's done, I say, can you present this as an idea that it's easy to follow? So either I can, like, if I would share with you guys, or especially you will, or you both have ADHD, I might share the dialogue with you, because that's a really good way, interesting way to follow the thought. But for someone else, I might share a summary, or kind of let ChatGPT give me a linear kind of thought, or text with linear thought. And the thing is, like, if you have these ideas that are kind of concepts in your head, and I'm like this this thing that I showed you that took a picture and read the text. If I would try to explain that to someone, like, I want to build this, they was like, why would you want to do it? Could you please write a report and blah blah blah, and I would feel like, okay, it's just going to be like every other time when I write the report and people say, oh, you don't have the right headings, no, we do this and this. It doesn't work. But if I can, like, just present it ready in a way that they understand it, then it's a big big help for me. Also, maybe even like can you give me the key points of this? And like if you're using Teams, I don't know this tool, but if you work using Teams, when you finish the meeting, you can ask Teams like, what was the key points? When was I mentioned? Did I get like a to-do thing? Can you
You can do that on Teams, can you?
Yeah. So you can.
I didn't even know that.
No, it's great. And then you get this summary. Then you can just go in and edit. Like, I need to, because it will be far from perfect, but you have like a lot of work done.
Yeah,
so all these
crazy.
things are. I mean, they're very new, so they're coming. But I think there's a lot of things coming, and I'm sure you can just let AI summarize a lot of text for you, read it to you, and
crazy.
it's easier to speak into it, and it'll turn it into text. So there's so many things that I have no idea how it's going to be.
Well, I actually watched a thing the other day where we could be doing a presentation in English, for example, and then I can use this technology that will, while I'm presenting, it will just automatically change
Translate.
it won't, like, it will automatically start talking in Swedish, for example. So I'll be here talking in Swedish.
In your voice?
Yeah, in my well, I think it's got a voiceover, but you won't hear like my voice how it is now, but it will be like whatever in Swedish type of thing. And you can do it in any language. I can't remember what it was called, but I was like, because like some learning organizations, especially when you're dealing with international students, that could be a really helpful tool when you're explaining things, and then it's able to explain in their language type of thing.
Yeah.
Which I was like, man, that's cool.
If Google Bard aren't overselling, because I've yet to see it in action, but they reckon within 5 years, maybe a bit more, you'll be able to talk to and understand anyone in any country in real time. Which would be amazing.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. You'd be in an airport, and if you hear someone like say something rude about you, you're like, "Oi, what'd you say?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, Tor, it's been so good having you on the podcast today. Fodon, John, did you have anything else you wanted to ask Tor before we finish up today?
Nothing to ask, just the fact that you've seen this problem for yourself as a dyslexic person and learned to code and help dyslexic people read, I think is pretty amazing.
Well, thank you.
So if anyone's wants to connect with you, or you maybe check out your work, or even purchase your products, where's the best place for them to go?
It's the website Tor Talk. It's with SE in the end, because it's Swedish.
Yep. .se.
Shall I put it in? Can you? How do we do
actually this? Hang on, I might be able to. Hang on, let me I probably will be able to. Hang on.
Well, he does that. I do just want to ask, is that a synthesizer behind you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
is.
It's
just for show. I have no idea how to use it.
Right.
Oh, I thought maybe after this talk you'll get up and you don't want to get up there now and maybe do a little bit of a thing for our guests or something, mate.
That'd be really funny, considering I don't know what I'm doing.
We want to keep our listeners, not frighten them away, mate. Sorry. So hang on.
My kids' stuff.
No, sorry. I'm just going to. That's it there, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
and
cool,
also,
cool.
If you put my name before Tor at Tor Talk, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So if we put, so let me just do this again. Hang on. All right. Edit. Okay, so Tor at Tor. Hang on, what I'll do, I'll get rid of that there. And I will get that up. Tor Talk, right?
Perfect.
Look at that. So if you want to check out this stuff, go to tortalk.se. So it's spelled tortalk.se. And if you want to connect and speak further with Tor, just put Tor, Tor, at tortalk.se. There you go. Tor, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today. It's always a pleasure when I'm speaking to you, my man. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much. It's been so nice chatting with you guys. And
not a problem. Photon John, you're all cool, brother?
All cool.
Nice. My name's Will Wheeler, joined with my main man, Photon John, and this is the Open Hearted Podcast. Until next time.